Buenos dias, RGT85 here. Hope everyone had a great weekend. It's Monday. We've got some video game news to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit about AEW Fight Forever because it looks like we have some new information on when this game is releasing, and evidently it's releasing very soon. And we're going to talk a little bit about Nintendo stuff, and I know what you're saying, but I'm not a Nintendo YouTuber. I swear to that, if I see it in the comments, I'm coming after you. I'm coming after you. But if this is your first time on the channel and you enjoy video game related content, hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share, hit the bell as well. But without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. We're going to kick things off with AEW Fight Forever potentially getting a release date. Now, this release date has actually gone up on a French website, and then a wrestling outlet called Fightful actually reported that they are hearing that this date is indeed correct. Now, this game has been kind of in a bit of limbo for a while, and man, this is probably one of my most anticipated games of the year. I would put it right up there with stuff like, you know, Resident Evil 4, Starfield, Spider-Man 2, of course, Tears of the Kingdom. This game is probably in my top 5. Like, I'm super looking forward to this game. I know it's not the best looking game in the world, graphically speaking, and there's lots of graphic whores out there who are like, oh, this game looks like a last. I don't care, okay? It's about the gameplay in a wrestling game. I have not felt satisfied from a WWE game in a very, very long time. WWF No Mercy, WCW NWO Revenge, the classic N64 titles, even the PlayStation 1 game, WCW versus the World, heavily slept on game, by the way, really introduced the gameplay style of wrestling games that we all loved. Of course, it was a bit refined in Day of Reckoning for the GameCube, but it's just been very arcadey and kind of floaty lately. Well, here's the information coming to us, and it seems like I said, this game is coming out very, very soon. So this is coming to us from Video Games Chronicle. Like I said, it's been reported pretty much everywhere as well. AEW Fight Forever will reportedly release in June. According to Fightful Select, an announcement is expected next week, with AEW expected to announce that the game will release on June 27th, which would coincide with the AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door 2, which will take place 2 days prior on June 25th. It's also been suggested that the announcement has been delayed due to the prominence and inclusion of AEW wrestler CM Punk, whose off-screen issues with AEW have seemingly upended several AEW-related announcements, which are planned to feature the return of Punk. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on with that. There was some back and forth with people on Twitter, with AEW's Tony Khan, who owns the company, saying that the game was done. Somebody from THQ saying that the game's not quite done yet, this, that, or the other. But I definitely think that the time is coming with this. I have actually reached out to my THQ contact, and I was like, hey, I'm seeing stuff online. What's the deal? You know, because obviously I need this game, you know, before anyone else does, because clearly I'm a big wrestling fan. And he was like, I'll talk to you when I can talk to you. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about you. So I do think we're going to get this announcement very soon, and I do think that this June release date is something that is palpable. I think it's something that makes sense too, because people have been waiting for this game for a very long time. There was the whole situation where supposedly Game Changer Wrestling was trying to stop it because of the Fight Forever name, because that was a pay-per-view that they once had or something like that, and they tried to trademark it, or which is weird because John Moxley was, of course, the GCW world champion and gave GCW a lot of shine on AEW TV. Of course, talent exchange as well. Several AEW wrestlers would go to GCW and vice versa. Nick Gage, of course, fought Chris Jericho. That's more just in-depth wrestling stuff, though, that you don't really care about. What you do care about is this game coming out. Of course, it comes out on the PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. I plan on reviewing the Switch version and buying it on my Xbox as well, just in case the Switch version is absolutely crappy. But, you know, it's time for Nintendo Switch owners to get a proper wrestling game. There's been tons of fun arcade style wrestling games, whether we're talking about action arcade wrestling, Retromania wrestling Empire, I think it was called, the M. Dickey game. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I want a proper one. The proper one was the WWE 2K game that we got on the Switch, which, I mean, it still haunts me to this day.
Oh my God, it's so bad! What is going on?
It's a terrifying experience that somebody would allow this game to come out in the state that it was in. And this could definitely help pick up the pieces of those shattered, you know, souls of wrestling fans who own a Nintendo Switch. There's tons of cool stuff out there, but as far as a bigger production game is you know, coming to the Switch. Obviously, the WWE 2K games, for whatever reason, aren't coming to the platform. So this has to be the savior. This has to, and who knows, maybe the Switch version will get delayed. Wouldn't that be a son of a bitch? Hopefully not, though. I don't care. I'm going to play this game regardless. Are you stoked for this? Do you care about wrestling? If not, thank you for sitting through this segment, and let's move on to the next thing. And finally, although the sort of hoopla and splendor of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom kind of goes down a little bit day by day as more and more people are finally getting their hands on it and jumping into the world of Hyrule, this redefined, reimagined world with just so much stuff in it. I still haven't beaten the game yet. Like, I'm very close to the end, but I just keep piddling around and like doing other stuff and like finding new stuff and like, oh, I never saw this before, this, that, the other. But there's been lots of information coming out. Of course, we heard that the game sold 10 million copies in a matter of a couple of days, which is absolutely insane. There are big AAA games on other platforms with larger install bases that never sniffed that sort of amount of sales. So it's safe to say that Tears of the Kingdom will be probably one of the highest, if not the highest selling games of 2023. Will it be able to eclipse Breath of the Wild though? I'm still not sure. You know, that's over 30 million copies sold. I assume there was going to be a huge rush at the start, but you know, sort of building up and keeping the momentum going, because if you're not really a fan of Breath of the Wild, you're probably not really a fan of Tears of the Kingdom. But there was one interesting thing leading up to the release of Tears of the Kingdom that caused a lot of debate online. I was talking about this in videos, and I was kind of keeping a neutral position. I was sort of keeping a position where it's like, well, that's just kind of how the industry is right now. And, you know, I feel like they should have done a little bit more of this, that, the other. And then there were people saying, oh no, this is what Nintendo planned the entire time. This is what they had written in stone the entire time for Tears of the Kingdom. And that, of course, was the marketing, because the marketing for this game kind of sucked. Like, it kind of sucked in terms of it felt like we were getting very close to the release of the game and we hadn't seen anything really sort of beyond that would captivate our imaginations. Of course, we had the third and final trailer for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which I've been showing you over this, but there was one very important part that also happened, and that was the Aonuma gameplay demonstration. So with that Aonuma gameplay presentation, we got like a 10, 12, 13-minute look at the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom gameplay and some of the different mechanics that you would be doing within the game with the new abilities, such as fuse and attach modes and all that sort of stuff with your Ultra Hand that you would be able to do in this game. And there's a reason why they did that. People think that that was planned all along, but it turns out that wasn't the case. The Washington Post and the homie Gene Park over at the Washington Post, one of the handful of video game journalists I like, actually did a very interesting interview with Mr. Aonuma. And one of the things that they talked about was that this whole presentation with Aonuma was done on the fly because they thought that people weren't showing a lot of interest in the game. So here is the excerpt from the Washington Post interview. I'm reading this via My Nintendo News' website. Another hiccup came when the second trailer dropped in February, which of course is what we saw. It was kind of a bit of a longer trailer, and the team noticed a lack of enthusiasm. People had not gotten their heads around the gameplay elements or where the fun might be, Aonuma said. Nintendo decided to feature Aonuma explaining the game's concept in a 13-minute demonstration, which did the trick. Meaning that the marketing for this game was never set in stone. Nintendo was just going to do the second trailer and then show off the third trailer. And I honestly feel like if they would have done that, they would have confused the hell out of people. Because think of how many things they've added into this game as far as new gameplay mechanics are concerned. Now imagine not having that gameplay presentation that shows you how you can attach things and how you can craft your own vehicles and craft your own ways across the level, and of course fuse different weapons together. Imagine just seeing that third trailer with like vehicles and stuff on it. You'd be like, what the hell, what is this? How do I get this vehicle? What is sort of happening that allows me to get this? So to everyone who made these videos saying, I was right about Nintendo marketing this game, you were wrong. You were wrong, and it's coming directly from Mr. Aonuma himself, the man behind The Legend of Zelda, from Nintendo, the company behind the game. So sometimes, you know, you can't ride that high horse, because this is a huge secret revealed how this was going to be a non-existent thing. And I definitely feel like the Aonuma gameplay presentation made it click for a lot of people, because leading up to that, you didn't know how this game was extremely different from its predecessor. Like, obviously, yes, there were different enemies and there was sort of a different crafted world, but how is the gameplay going to be different? And that's what that Enuma Presents presentation did. It showed you how everything was different. So just very cool. I found this to be very fascinating, that this wasn't the plan all along. And I kind of wanted to dunk on people who said it was the plan all along, because you were wrong, and that's okay. Alrighty, so that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to give me your feedback in the comment section down below. Are you looking forward to AEW Fight Forever? What do you think about Enuma's big revelation about Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom? Also, the video of me selling my game collection went up on Phoenix Resale's channel. I have a link to that in the description box down below, should you want to go check that out. It was probably a little bit more interesting than my video, because it sort of shows a different perspective of the sale. It shows, you know, sort of his mentality and all that stuff. It's a much longer video than mine was too. Mine was just more about the personal journey. His was more about collecting the massive collection that I had. I still have no regrets. People said I was going to regret it. I have no regrets whatsoever. I love my emulation station. It's beautiful. And as always, thank you guys for watching this video. Be sure to check out other videos on the channel. We talked about the Miu Mini Plus yesterday, a very hot handheld, and we find out why. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.